Number 1. The Imposter. I woke up one night having to pee, and I brought my phone to the bathroom. While walking down the hall and texting, I bumped into a girl in a white dress. I didn't look up, said, "Sorry," and kept going. It occurred to me moments later that I was home alone and not in my bustling high school. The next day, when my boyfriend came to pick me up for the movies, he asked why I had been staring at him through the upstairs window and why I'd changed out of my white dress. But I don't even own a white dress. Credit to R. Carrillo. Number 2. The Intruder. I was home alone watching television when I saw something moving in the master bedroom. I strained my eyes to see a man walking out of the closet to the other side of the room. He stopped, looked at me, put his finger to his lips, then turned around. He vanished back into the closet. We moved when we found out the mysterious small hole in the ceiling of our bedroom is from a previous tenant. Sorry, I couldn't really read that much because it's got some bad stuff. Credit to JLMC Moreau. Number 3. The Friendliest Client. I'm a mortician. My most disturbing experience was when I was preparing for a child for a viewing, and I felt someone pull my chair. A couple minutes later, I heard a giggle, and the door slammed shut. All of my machines stopped. It was dead quiet. After I was done and the body was dressed, I felt a tap on my shoulder and warmth around my middle, approximately where a child would stand if they were hugging you. Credit to BRIW45. Number 4. The Nightcrawlers. When I was a kid, my family moved into an apartment. Every night, my big sister would make me shut our bedroom window, and I'd look outside. I'd see 3 faces staring back at me. They had no hair, noses, or mouths. They just stare, but never did anything. Well, a few months back, my family was talking about that apartment, and I mentioned the faces. My sister turned to me, shock. She said she saw them too, and that's why she always asked me to close the window. Special credit goes to Angela Cack 4. Number 5. The Mysterious Mom Moment. A few years ago, I was upstairs at my mom's house playing on the computer when I heard the front door open and my mom come in. She yelled, "Amber, I'm home," and seemed to be struggling with some groceries. I ran downstairs to help her, but she wasn't there. Her car wasn't in the driveway either. Credit goes to Amber Rodriguez. Number 6. The Devil's Deed. 2 years ago, I was asleep when I felt I was being pulled off of my bed by my legs. Suddenly, I shot straight up and started violently being shaked around. I was being shaked around is what it says. I'm sorry. It took me a few minutes to catch my breath. And it was so bad, my mom woke up to check on me. Here's the scariest part. The next morning, my mom said she didn't remember my coughing fit. But he told me she had a dream that the devil was trying to pull me away from her. Credit goes to Mario. Number 7, The Whisper War. When I was a kid, I lived with just my mom. Every few nights after she went to bed, I turned off all the TVs. I'd hear a man and woman casually having a quiet conversation in our kitchen. I always had to concentrate really hard to make sure I was actually hearing something because it was so faint. I couldn't make out words. The continued years, I thought my mom wouldn't believe me if I told her. After we moved out, I finally told her. She said she'd always experienced the same thing. Credit goes to Loreb 4. Number 8, The Static Scenario. A few years I was visiting my brother and his family, who lived in a very old Victorian house. I was snuggling with my niece on a futon in the playroom when suddenly, in the middle of the night, the TV turned on full blast with a static screen. My 3-year-old niece jumped out of bed and ran to the TV, shutting it off. When I asked her how she knew the TV would turn on, she shrugged, saying, "They turn it on every night at this time," and fell right back to sleep. Credit goes to Christina Stong. Number 9, The Phone Fright. My mom and I were working one day in the store we own when her cell phone rang. The caller ID said home, with our number below it. She looked at me calmly and said, "Who's at home?" My dad was at work. My sister was at college. My grandma, who used to live with my parents, had passed away about 6 months prior. But then I remembered, we didn't have a home phone, because after my grandma passed, my mom shut off the landline since we all had cell phones. When we called the number back, it had been disconnected. Credit goes to Kelly H. Number 10, Siri the Medium. My mom bought me my first iPhone right before she passed away. After we lost her, I'd sometimes randomly find Siri open with a small conversation on the screen. This happened a handful of times. One day I was scared because I was starting my new job and left my phone on the desk next to me. Siri was open and the screen said, "What are you doing?" "What are you doing?" I burst into tears. "What you doing?" The phrase my mom and I used to greet each other on the phone. Credit goes to Hallright 43. Number 11, The Pleasant Phantasm. I had a neighbor who was a lovely old man. He would always work in his garden, and I'd walk past his house daily, so we spoke often. One day, I saw him and said hello, but got no response. Not wanting to bother him, I carried on home. A few days later, I saw a removal van and people outside of his home. I was told that the man had gone hiking a week ago, but sadly passed away. They just recovered him. But I'd seen him just days earlier. Credit goes to M. Blackburn 877. Number 12. The Scorching Savior. In college, I lived in a notoriously haunted dorm. One night, while my roommates were away, I followed home from a party by a guy I rejected. He was drunk and aggressive after I told him to leave. Grabbed my wrist, threw me against the bed, but before anything happened, he was ripped off of me. There were 2 large blisters on his shoulder. I am so sorry, folks. I'll skip the rest of that. As I lay in, he scrambled out quickly. As I lay in bed crying, I sensed a very maternal presence rubbing my back. I was too distraught to care what it might have been. Credit goes to Morgan K4. Number 13, the Super Spooky Snuggle. A few years ago, my boyfriend and I explicably awoke in a panic in the middle of the night. We looked at each other, and at that moment, the large framed photo hanging on the wall crashed to the ground. I told him I'd been having a horrible nightmare where well, let's just not talk about it. I'm not gonna talk about it. That's what it says, seriously. He freaked out, saying he was having the exact same dream. Later on, we both heard my mom yelling downstairs. She sounded scared and kept calling my name. This was particularly scary because we lived in California and my mom lived in England. Nobody was inside the house but us. He refused to sleep at my house ever again. Credit goes to Penelope T4. Number 14, the Numbers Nightmare. When my son was a few months old, I was trying to record his laugh on my phone. I used to bounce him on my knee and say numbers before or each bounce. When I played the recording back, you can hear my son laughing as I count 1, 2, 3. And after I say 3, you can hear a man's voice clearly say 4. There was no one else in the house, and the TV wasn't on. When I played it for my friend, she got goosebumps. Credit goes to Stacy JW. Number 15, the fast food fright. I was sleeping alone in a room I shared with my 6-year-old sister, but she wasn't home. She had a toy McDonald's cash register with a drive-thru radio that I'd play recording if you press a button. I was dozing off when I heard, "Welcome to McDonald's. Can I take your order?" from inside our closet. I investigated. Took it out of the toy box. Sorry, folks. And turn it off before setting it on a shelf where it wouldn't be disturbed. About 20 minutes later, I'm falling asleep and heard a voice whisper, "I would like chicken McNuggets, please." You bet I bolted out of there. Sorry. Credit goes to Cameron R4. Number 16. And Margie, the Friendly Ghost. I used to share a paper route with my brothers, and we deliver to a lady named Margie. Since she was old and lived alone, one of us would take the paper inside and check him on her. One day, I went in and see and she was asleep on her bed. So I put the paper on the table and left. The next day, she was asleep again. Hadn't opened in the paper from the day before. The following day, I went in and Margie was awake. She said she was very happy and gave me a hug. The next morning, there were cars outside her house. Apparently, Margie had passed away in her bed 3 or 4 days before. I had spoken to and hugged her about 24 earlier, when she was already passed. Special credit goes to Sigel Longane. Thanks for watching, and I hope you had a very scary, well, let's just say a little bit of a fright. See you next time. This is Cool Kid 99 signing out. Peace.